tangible assets that hold intrinsic value, rather than the trust in government and central banks. Is power gradually shifting because of the new BRICS currency? Well, get ready to explore this fascinating topic as we delve into the possibility of precious metals almost replacing the fiat dollar. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Economics Diary, where we explore the world of finance and economics. Today we're going to talk about one of the most debated topics in the financial world, the role of precious metals in our monetary system. The fiat dollar system has been in place for decades, and it's based on the belief that paper money has value because governments and central banks say it does. However, as we've seen in recent times, trust in fiat currencies can be fragile, and they can be easily devalued by inflation, government policies, and economic crises. This is where precious metals come in. Gold and silver have been used as a store of value for centuries, and they hold an intrinsic value that's not dependent on trust in government or central banks. So in this video, Rafi Farber would be telling us about the diminishing hope and confidence in the fiat dollar and what that could mean for our financial system. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn about one of the most exciting and controversial topics in the financial world.
No, it's definitely true that the West is shifting, but I'm not sure I agree with this whole school of thought. Maybe like this is more futuristic, trying to imagine what the world's going to look like after the end game. And a lot of people think there's going to be a power shift from the West to the East to China. I don't see that. For the logical reason is that China participates in the Keynesian system. Right, they're a part of it, and they've got the short end of the stick because they got to provide the stuff, and all the U.S. has to do is provide the paper. So when this system falls, the East falls with it. I think everything falls. I mean, once the Roman Empire collapsed, there was no replacement. There was no competing power that took it over. It just disintegrated, and that was it. So I think both the West and the East are going to disintegrate. And then what's the new power? I mean, I don't know. It might take a long time to figure out who or what that is. Does there even have to be one? Yeah. I mean, no. What I'm worried about is that, look, none of us know what the thing is going to be. But whatever the thing is, whenever the world wakes up and realizes the dollar is dead, it's not going to take long from that realization until the end. I mean, in 1923, the only reason it took, 6 months was that it takes time to get a wad of bills in your hand and then give them to somebody else and move the paper around. But this time that everyone's like in the central banking community, we call them a community. they're all shocked about how fast the whole SVB thing happened, because one day they're fine, and then the next day it's just like, that's it, it's done. That's what bank runs are now, and that's what the dollar run is going to be, which is just a bank run on the Fed itself. That's what's going to happen, and it's going to be. I mean, technology is a double-edged sword. The state tries to outrun us, but we have the same technology at our fingertips, so we can just outrun the system also. Yeah. It makes it a lot faster.
I think you talked about, was it on Arcadia, about the was it the IMF or the World Bank? They talked about limiting withdrawals.
It was the head of the IMF, Georgieva, and she was saying it's a problem that people can just move money whenever they want to, however much they want. And she didn't say anything, at least not quoted by the FT that I read. She said we'll have to ... think about this, and structuring regulations to fix this problem, which means don't allow people to move money when they want to. Just capital controls, and when that happens, like, people just go to gold anyway because their money is useless, because the state is the world state is making it useless. So I looked at that first link there in that paragraph. I put the link to the daily Treasury report of the deposits and withdrawals of their account at the Fed. So I found that their tax receipts were like $8 billion, and the account went up $20 billion because they issued $20 billion more in short-term debt than they redeemed. So all the money that they got was from short-term debt, which cycles, up and down. So it looks like there's about 8 to 10 days left of funds left because there's no more tax receipts coming in until June 15th. And then what happens? They could start issuing cash management bills, which are like 14, 28 day, paper that is not part of the debt ceiling problem, and that could last them another few days or maybe a month or two. But they might not do that. I don't know. By then, like even if they do that and they can pay everything, it's going to be on the news like, oh, the debt ceiling has been breached, and now the Congress is doing XYZ to keep paying, and the emergency state of everything will probably affect the interest rates of everything as well. So,
with little or no time at hand to saving the fiat dollar, what do you think is the main reason? Let's discuss in the comment section below. Let's see this video where Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warns George Stephanopoulos that financial and economic chaos would ensue if the U.S. fails to raise the debt limit. She said, "This would be really the first time in the history of America that we would fail to make payments that are due." Does the term "there's a first time for everything" resonate? Let's watch this.
Well, Treasury finds itself in a position where we're unable to pay all of the bills that come due that day. And this would be really the first time in the history of America that we would fail to make payments that are due. And, whether it's defaulting on interest payments that are due on the debt or payments due for Social Security recipients or to Medicare providers, we would simply not have enough cash to meet all of our obligations. And it's widely agreed that financial and economic chaos would ensue. U.S. Treasury securities are the safest bedrock security underlying the global financial system. A failure of the United States to honor all of its debt would call into question our credit worthiness. Even as we get very close to this date, if Congress doesn't act, we're likely to see financial market consequences. In 2011, there was a steep decline in the stock market and our borrowing costs. Back in 2011, the U.S. Was downgraded by the credit rating agencies. There would be permanently higher borrowing costs for Americans for buying a home, buying a car, and a failure to raise the debt ceiling would cause a steep economic downturn.
It has always been predicted that dollar collapse would come from abroad. Let's see what Rafi Farber has to say.
I don't see how it could come from abroad. It would have to come from within first, because the only reason that the dollar exists abroad is because it is used at home. I mean, that's the logical progression. It wouldn't have become the reserve currency if it wasn't first used domestically. The reason that countries still hold the dollar is, for that reason. I mean, that's what I said. So, look, you can't have a currency collapsing from abroad. It always has to collapse at home first, and then from there you can argue, is it chicken and egg? Is it a dance? They feed on each other, yeah, but it always starts in the home market.
In conclusion, the possibility of precious metals almost replacing fiat dollars is a topic that's sure to spark debate and discussion among economists, investors, and anyone interested in the world of finance. While it's unlikely that we'll see a complete replacement of fiat currencies with precious metals anytime soon, it's clear that there's a growing interest in the role of gold and silver in our monetary system. The recent surge in gold and silver prices, along with the uncertainty of the global economic climate, has led many people to question the trust in fiat currencies and look for alternative ways to protect their wealth. Whether or not precious metals will become a mainstream currency in the future is still up for debate. But one thing is for sure: they hold a special place in our history and have stood the test of time as a reliable store of value. As always, it's important to do your research and make informed decisions when it comes to investing in precious metals or any other asset class. And with that, we come to the end of our video. We hope you've enjoyed learning about the possibility of precious metals almost replacing fiat dollars. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to see more exciting content on finance and economics in the future. Thank you for watching.